So this tutorial is on how to create assemblies and how to use certain assembly constraints. So if we go to new, um, and right here where it says standard mm or in if you're in English, .iam, that's going to be your assembly file. So double click on that to create an assembly file. And what we're going to have to do is place parts into our assembly. So you don't want this place from Content Center. So if it says that, go to the drop down and then go to regular place. And then we're going to choose a part to place in here. I'm going to go to the part apart from the last test. There we go. And then I'm going to, you typically want to be on an angle when you're doing things like this, like placing or extruding or constraining. So I'm just going to place it in there by left clicking. Notice it's waiting for me to place more. I can either escape or you can hit right click and OK. So I have this part in here. Usually you place a part that's kind of like your base part. That's usually first. And we're going to ground that part, meaning we're going to lock that part into position. So if you hover over the part here, I'm going to right click and go to ground it. And now this part won't move. So before I could click and drag it and move it around. Now it has that little pin next to it, or the pin right here in the browser saying that this part will not move. So I'm going to go to place again to add another part. And I'm going to, I created a little rod that's for the hole on top. I'm going to place that in. Again, I'm going to left click. I could right click OK. Or you can left click as many times as you want if you want more of that part in there. So this part doesn't move, this part can move. And so I'm going to constrain this part to this hole using, first of all, we never use join. So just pretend like join is not there. We will always use constrain. And anytime I have anytime I have cylindrical objects, typically want to use the insert key function. Even if something is not being inserted, typically insert is just easier to do. And I'll talk about mates in a different tutorial. So if you go to insert, and what insert does is it does two things at the same time. It'll align an axis with another axis, and it'll say what edge mates up with what other edge. So if I want this stem under here to go into this slot, I can say, if I go to this rim right here, I can say put this edge of this stem centered on that axis that it was showing. And if I want that to go all the way into the bottom, I can highlight that bottom edge right there, again, centered on the same axis. So I clicked on both, I hit apply, get that out of the way, and I'll see that my piece is locked into place here. All right. I'm going to undo that. And so say I wanted this bottom edge to go to the top of this. Could do the same thing, constrain, insert that edge to the top edge here. Apply, and you can see that there's a gap. And you can see that the edge of that stops at the top edge, so it doesn't go all the way in. Another thing I want to note is this button here, where you might have to flip. Let me do that again. Depending on what you do, sometimes it'll go in backwards. I'm going to do a different one. So I'm going to say this edge, the top of that, the top of where this thing starts, to the top of here. And then, so again, this flip button, so that flips it so that it flips it around so that it's on the inside. Sometimes it's on the inside, or it goes to the wrong place on accident, and you can just flip it to get it to where you want it to be. So again, I'm gonna hit apply, and this is locked into place. If you're working on the miniature train, all of the constraints are inserts. So you should use constrain insert for all of them: the smokestack, the hitch magnet, the hitch peg, the wheels, the axle peg, the linkage arm, and the linkage peg. And then I will show you how to do some other special constraints in class.